So hello, welcome to Dommy Tries This. I hope you brought your cuppa. Today's coffee mug is a coffee mug that came from the coffee shop that my husband used to work at. He's been out of there for 4 months or so, give or take. He's a much happier chef right now. But it is from the San Francisco Coffee Roasting Company. It has three locations down in Atlanta, and it specializes in specialized coffees, basically. They're not like Starbucks. They do their own roasting, they do their own grinding, stuff like that. And they have a few other things on the menu. You can go and get yourself a bit of lunch or a pastry or something. Anyway, so today's tea in this coffee mug is the Stash White Chocolate Mocha. It's a black tea. It's one of my favorite teas. It's a good, deep, chocolatey tea. It's been sitting for a little bit, so we should get all of that chocolate flavor starting from the beginning. It's also very hot. Let's go ahead and get a taste and get started. Okay, so it does need a little bit more steep time. It's been steeping for a couple of minutes. It probably needs to get to about 5 minutes. But you do get the chocolate flavor on the end. It is very dark and deep and rich. Yeah, it's a very good tea. So, love that tea. Stash has some pretty good teas. For me, I have to double bag them to get the amount of flavor that I like. So today we are going to talk about some of my favorite brushes. And I don't know if you all have realized it, but I am a big brush fan. I have quite a few. I have thinned some out over the last year or so that have gone to Project Beauty Share. But there are some that at this point I don't see myself ever getting rid of because I just absolutely love them. I have a couple of singles, a couple of pairs, and then a few sets in here that I tend to use almost every day when I do my makeup. So let's go ahead and get started. The first brush is my one and only Morphe brush. It's the E41. I use this for my all over face powder. I love the size of this. It's the biggest brush I own, pretty much. I have one that's fairly close to it in terms of the size of the actual brush itself. It's very, very sturdy and has a bit of weight to it, so I really like it for that. My only complaint about this, if this ever breaks, I'm probably never going to replace it because it was expensive and the shipping was absolutely insane. So yeah, the brush itself was on the higher end, and then on top of that, the shipping just made it something that I would not repurchase just because of the shipping. But other than that, I really like the brush. I saw this, I actually saw this brush on Alexandria Ryan's video when she used it, and was hooked and had to go get it. So that's my powder brush that I really love. My next two brushes are NYX brushes. These are the NYX professional brushes. They're the heavier white black handled brushes. This one I use for foundation. I haven't used it today. I have another one that I've actually used today that I'll be showing you in a little bit. This is actually their buffer brush. I prefer it to the foundation brush for my foundation. And their foundation brush that I got, I use for contouring, and I do believe I used this one today. It's one of three that I like to use for contouring. The other two would be this no name brush that a friend sent, and if I want a really diffused contour, I will sometimes use this crown brush, but very rarely because I don't usually want a really diffused contour. But yes, and these were $16 a piece, I believe, and I believe they're worth every penny. Again, like the Morphe, they have some weight to them. They're very sturdy. I've had these probably at least a year a piece, and they wash well, and they keep well, and they work very well for what I use them for. The next two brushes come from Royal & Langnickel, which I believe is one of the most underrated brush companies out there. The first is my BMD 100. This is their big powder brush. I generally use this for applying powder foundation. As you can see, it's got a nice, it's like my Morphe in that it has a nice big fluffy head on it. The Morphe has just a little bit more on it. But it is another really big brush. I love the big brushes. It's very soft. It does apply the foundation very well. I really enjoy this for my powder foundation. And the other one is their BMD 120, which is supposed to be a contour brush, but I use to blend out my concealer. I have been moving away from sponges. I still am keeping a couple for a couple different reasons, but in general I don't like using sponges as much. I think that unless I really need to get rid of some texture between my brows or I'm having trouble underneath my eyes, I tend to avoid them in general. I think that even though you clean them, they are, you end up with the water and stuff on the inside, and I don't think that they can just get clean enough. And after my issues with my face last summer, I don't want to mess with that issue. I don't want to have a whole bunch of bacteria and stuff in a sponge that I'm using. So I tend to use brushes to blend most everything out unless I have something specific that I need to work on. So this is the brush I use to blend out my concealer. And again, these two brushes, like the Morphe and like the NYX, have a bit of weight to them. They're very sturdy. I've had them each for about a year. They still have practically a brand new appearance to them, and I really, really do enjoy them. I highly recommend Royal & Langnickel brushes. They have a new line out, chic, something like that. I won some of those brushes. Those brushes are on the, they're kind of short and small, so they did not make this list. The brushes themselves are fine. They're just a bit smaller than I like to work with. The next brush is a crown brush, and I can't remember if I got this in my Yes Oh Yes or if I got this in a glossy box or a Lola box. I have to look it up. But it's a crown brush. I've used it so much that the name has worn off, so I can't even tell you which brush this is. Not that crown usually says much. I use this for powdering my concealer on my eyes. I can just dip into my powder, plop once or twice, and it's done. So I like it for that. It's got another big, soft head on the brush. This one has a little bit of give in the part where the flang meets the handle. I think that's the flang meets the handle. So it's not nearly as sturdy as the other brushes I've just shown, but it is a favorite brush for what I use it for, and I have had it for quite a while. And I'm not worried about it breaking anytime soon. And if it does break anytime soon, I have other brushes that could replace it. But it is a really nice brush. I really, really do like this. The next brushes are all sets, and there's 3 sets. And one has 3, one has 4, and the other has a bunch. So we'll start with 3. These are the Alamar brushes that came with the first Alamar palette in our BoxyCharm. I don't use this one very much. When I do use it, it is to add a highlight on the inner corner of my eye, which is one of the reasons why I don't use it very much. Adding a highlight on the inner corner of my eye is actually a little problematic for my eyes. It can aggravate things that are going on there. But that's what I end up using it for. And then I have the fluffy brush that can go under my brow for that. And then I have this nice shader. I use the shader in the corners. I use it underneath the lower lash line. And sometimes I use it to pack on color when I need to repair the inner part of my lid. So these are, again, these are on the lighter weight side, but again, they're very sturdy. There's not any give in them. And I do really enjoy these as well. I probably would purchase these if I hadn't received them. I'm actually considering purchasing the second set that they've come out with at some point in the future, just not right away. But I have enjoyed these, and I'm pretty sure I'd enjoy the next set as well. My set of 4 are Luxie brushes that also came in a BoxyCharm. Now these are all part of their gold line. They were a limited edition line, I do believe, because I think when I tried to price them and put them in, you couldn't find them on the website. Not this specific golden handle, which is absolutely beautiful. I love the gold sparkle on these. These are very tiny brushes. I do not use this one or this one very frequently. However, I do use them occasionally when I need to like add just a little thin row of color. These are very, very good brushes for detailing. I use this one to deepen my crease quite a bit. I use this one under my brow when I need to. Sometimes I will use this one to, again, to help with the inner corner of my eye, or this one to help with the inner corner of my eye. This one can also be used to help detail the outer corner a little bit. These are really beautiful brushes for the detailing. Like all Luxie brushes, they're a bit on the lightweight side, but they're very sturdy, and I've had no issues with looseness or any other issues with that. And they wash fine. I don't lose a lot of brush bristles or anything like that. So again, another set that I really, really enjoy using. These are just basically my detailer brushes. My last set of brushes were a gift. Thank you, Tamaray. They are the Juvia's Place red set. I love these brushes. I use these brushes every single day. So this is their flat top foundation brush. I actually use this to, oh, we do have a bristle coming up. There we go. I actually use this to apply my primer and also to pat in my setting spray after the primer's been applied. A trick that I learned from Pampered Wolf is to blot down your face and then apply your primer as usual, and then add setting spray to help your foundation stay, and then over top of that you put your eyeshadow primer. And it has really worked because I have the glasses. It seems to have really helped with that. Now, it doesn't make the foundation stay when I blow my nose and stuff like that, but it does help with keeping all that out. When I apply the setting spray, this usually goes over that, and I just kind of pat it in to help it dry down quicker and to spread it more evenly across my face. This is their round top foundation brush, and this has become my favorite brush to use to apply my foundation. Like the NYX, like the Royal and Langnickel, these are very sturdy, heavy-duty brushes, and I really do enjoy using them. But this has become, you can tell I've used this one today. This has become my favorite brush to use to apply my foundation. It pats down really nicely. I don't tend to do much of this, and if I do much of this, I do pat it down, and it does apply the foundation really, really well. The bristles are stiff enough that they work that way, but soft enough that I don't feel that they will aggravate my skin. This brush is their liquid primer brush. I actually use this to help with certain parts of my concealer. When I do my eyes first, and I usually end up with quite a bit of fallout. So I will take a concealer and I will draw a line along here. The thing is if I use the concealer brush first, that concealer can go up into the eye look. So I use this to pat it all in and make sure that my line stays straight. And I can also use it to get in my nose and other little areas, but it's primarily to make sure that that little line stays straight and to brush things downward, and then I can get it with the other concealer brush that I use to blend out. But this is mostly to help get that line and keep that line from that concealer from going up into my eyeshadow. Like the other brush that's similar to this one, this is their brow definer. I don't use this much. I tend to use the triangular brushes for anything that I'm going to do on my brows, but I don't use this much, and it's another one that I would use for an inner corner highlight, which I don't use very much because of the aggravation of my eyes. This is their tapered contour brush. I actually use this when I want to apply my highlighter in a much softer manner than my other highlighter brushes will do, because these are very long, very soft bristles. So you don't pat them down. If you pat it down on there, it's not going to come up with a really sharp, bright color. It's gives us a nice subtle glow. Or if I'm going to use more than one highlighter, which is one thing I did today, I used actually I think 3 of them. I used a very subtle one, and then I put a goldish one over that. And because the particular gold tends towards the more yellow side, and the yellow can make my skin look kind of sallow, I put a more pinkish, neutrally pinkish toned one over that, and got a nice shine, but without it going into supernova, which is not something that I like to do. So I use this mostly to do softer highlighting on my face. This is obvious. This is their shader brush, which I use for almost all my eyeshadows at this point. I need to get more of this specific brush because I really, really enjoy this. I like that it has got enough stiffness to it that I can pack that on, but it's soft enough that it does not aggravate my eyes, and it's big enough that I can hit my whole lid. You know, I can just, yes, I have to go across my lid, but it's not like I have to do a lot of up and down work. This actually covers pretty much my lid when I use it. So it's a really nice, again, very sturdy brush for my eyes. I can use this under my lower lash line or in my crease to help deepen up or add different colors or things like that. It's another brush that I don't use very often because I have other brushes for that I do use, but I did use it today to add a little bit of depth. This has a nice stiffness about it, so you can get your color right on the point and just get it on the point and not have it smash down and go all over the place. They call this their small corner brush, which it does. It works very well in getting stuff in the corners without spreading it out too far. So I really like that. This one is their buffer eyeshadow brush. I use this under my brow for my lighter color that goes under my brow. Again, it's a very soft, sturdy brush. Does really wonderful. It's become the brush that I tend to use the most for that. And then this is their eyeshadow blending brush, which is what I actually use it for occasionally. If my actual usual all over the lid blending brush is this Ulta Beauty travel blush brush that a friend sent me. I do that for all over. If I need to blend out a specific area, this is the one I will use to blend it out. This set has become my absolute favorite set. I want to get the blue one now because I just really, really, really enjoy these brushes. So those are my favorite brushes at this point. I actually already have new brushes coming in, but at least 2 of them are from Royal & Langnickel, so I already know I'm gonna love them. They're coming in on my Ipsy. They were extras that I purchased. They were bonus items I purchased. But yeah, so those are my favorite brushes. My favorite brands are Royal & Langnickel and NYX and Juvia's Place. So I would say are my top 3 brands out of that. They are very worth it. I have some other brush brands that I want to try one day, but they're a little bit more on the expensive side, so they're gonna have to wait. Anyway, that's it for today, and I hope you like what you've seen, and that if you're not subscribed, that you will subscribe. And if you do subscribe, make sure to hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. I currently upload 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, but we do get the occasional bonus video around here. And as we head into summer, there will be a lot more bonus videos coming. If you are one of my notification squad, you're going to want to check your bell. Yeah, they're still getting knocked down. And your subscription. People are saying that they're still losing subscribers. So you want to check those 2 things to make sure you're still getting notified as well. If you don't subscribe, well, we would be disappointed. However, I'd also understand that I am not everybody's cup of tea. But you're always welcome to come back again because we love having company here. We really, really do. And if you do come back again, don't forget to bring your cup of tea. I could melt into the chocolate. It's deep and dark, but I've added enough sugar to give it enough sweetness. Really, really good. It's almost a coffee flavor. Not quite, but almost a coffee flavor. Really highly recommend this tea if you can get it. Go to stash.com. Take a look around. They've got a lot of beautiful teas. And of course, I would flub this up right as we get to the part where I'm saying goodbye. Been a long day, folks, already.